If you keep finding emotionally unavailable people, this video is for you. I'm going to teach you 3 questions that can help you change the dynamic so you can start attracting emotionally available people. So let's get started. The first question is, are you emotionally available to yourself? Now, in a little bit, I'm going to draw this dynamic out because I'm very visual, and to me, it makes way more sense when you see it working out. But I want to break it down a little bit more to give you that full picture. Early on, if you had a caregiver who moved away too far in your perception, maybe you had a parent or a caregiver who worked a lot, maybe they had a lot of emotional situations going on, your perception is they were moving, they were preoccupied, they were distracted with something else. Maybe it was a sibling. So since they wouldn't come to you and attune to you, you had to go to them. You couldn't stay with you and have your needs met. You had to leave that to go to them. Now, this dynamic you can already see. You have to leave yourself and your needs and chase after that person. They're moving too far away and you want to chase them so that you can connect. You moving towards that person is a desire to stay safe. That fear of abandonment, your impulse could be smother. This could be when somebody calls you very needy or smothery. Ultimately, you have needs, and this is the best way you have learned so far on how to get your needs met. However, understanding the dynamic underneath it all is what can help break you out of it. So since you didn't have that caregiver attuned to you, you've learned to attune to other people in order to potentially get your needs met. Maybe it's just leftovers. Maybe it's just not quite what you need, but you'll take it. So you're finding romantic partners or even friends who you have to leave you in order to get and maintain that connection. You learn to attune to other people for a sense of stability or for a sense of worth. You continue to replay this old coping mechanisms essentially because when you were a kid, you didn't have a choice. You had to deal with it. You couldn't move out. You couldn't go on your own. You had to learn to function in your primary culture, your family, or whatever dynamic that you grew up in. So you've taken that dynamic, and now in your desire to connect, you do the outdated system, which is I tune into other people. I want to know what their needs are, what they're doing, but in the process, you're leaving yourself. So ultimately, you're actually emotionally unavailable to yourself. You look to see what you can do for somebody else so that they'll give you some attention, or you look to see who you can be, what they would like. All that attention is on them, but who's with you? So let's take it to the board. Right, so here is the dynamic of chasing. So here you are as a little kid, and here is that adult caretaker. So they're distracted with something, not you, right? It could be work, it could be stress in their life, emotional stuff they're dealing with, another sibling. So this person is going too far this way. And since you want to maintain this connection between y'all, they start to go, and this could also be in your perception. You had needs as a child. They were not getting met when the adult caretaker was in this dynamic. You felt that you wanted to maintain this. You didn't want to be left. You didn't want to be abandoned. So you started to chase them. You wanted to stay connected to them. Again, having to fixate, having to be hyper aware of what they were doing, what this person outside of you was doing, how they were feeling, what was going on, because you wanted this. This connection was how you felt safe. So staying close with them and being attuned to what their experience was vital for you to feel safe. As they moved away, you learned to chase them. The same dynamic could be replayed in finding emotionally available people, because this dynamic, somebody having something outside of you, maybe it's another person, maybe it's they're so busy with work, you're not able to get the connection that you're really needing and wanting in your own way. It's unique to every person. So again, is a person right now who's emotionally unavailable meeting the archetype? Are there any commonalities that you can see that connect with what happened early on in your life compared to what's happening now? If you're liking this video so far, consider giving that little thumbs up a click. You would be amazed at the wonders of how much that supports this channel. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, are you emotionally available to receive? You might be thinking, of course, Abby, if I just had that opportunity, I would be absolutely ready. Now, I want to ask you this. Have you ever gotten a compliment? Maybe somebody tells you that they love what you're wearing. Maybe somebody compliments your work or says that you're talented. Or maybe they compliment something you made and you're like, no, it's not that big a deal. It's really nothing. Oh, I've had it for a while. It's no big deal. So you're pushing that away because a lot of different reasons. You might feel embarrassed. You might not be used to that attention. You might feel, oh, if I take this compliment, I have a big ego. I got to stay humble. There's literally so many different reasons on why you're doing it. But ultimately, you don't see yourself at the same level as their compliment. So you want to repel it. You want to push it away. Just the same as this person, you want them to be emotionally available to you. But if you do not see yourself as worthy or deserving and start to create and cultivate that space inside of you, you starting to give your own view and your own value of you, not according to your past, not according to the caregivers and people who you grew up around and how they valued you or didn't value you, but you according to you. And until you become aware, just like Carl Jung said, until you make conscious what is unconscious, it will direct your life and you'll call it fate. So as you start to say, okay, maybe I actually move away from emotionally available people because that feels really uncomfortable. I have to work or earn or prove. You're going to move back to that first question, not being emotionally available to yourself. But even as you are learning how to be emotionally available to yourself, you're going to have to cultivate, create the space. You're going to have to see yourself as whole and complete and deserving, and always being worthy of having your needs met, regardless of how those needs were perceived and greeted early on in your life. I want to take this to the board so you can see exactly the dynamic I'm talking about. All right, so the second dynamic, similar to the first one, I mean, basically it's just the other side of the coin, but here's little you, here's that caretaker, and it looks like they're dancing, but you had a need, right? You had your needs. We're just going to put in right there. Well, this person who, again, was distracted over here, it doesn't mean that this was from malice, that they didn't care about you. They could love you very deeply and this other thing's pulling them. Maybe they didn't have the emotional capacity to process everything in their life. But their distraction, you gave what you thought was their value. So that could be, whoa, that could be the same issue happening right now, is that you're seeing what you thought their value was, because if they really loved you, they would connect with you. They would be there for you. So you must not have much value. So with your needs, you basically got used to, rather than having full, you had very, very little crumbs, if you will. So again, when you look at the person in your life right now, or whatever dynamic on why you're watching this video, look and see, are they distracted, or they give you very little and it barely fills your cup, or maybe it's just enough to keep you going. Having a full cup, having this whole thing filled, is not familiar. That could be uncomfortable at first, even though it's something you consciously want. Unconsciously, it's not familiar. So what is something that is unfamiliar? A lot of times it's uncomfortable and it could be perceived as dangerous or scary or not good because it's simply unfamiliar. So you have to start learning, just like a muscle, to build your capacity to receive. Start to be more conscious and aware. Somebody gives you a gift, seeing yourself as worthy of that gift. Thank you so much. Seeing yourself on the same level of it. If not, you will repel it. You won't be able to get this with your true capacity, because if in your mind's eye, what your worth is, again, based on what you thought your worth was as a little kid, you'll find everything in your life that doesn't give you just a little bit will be repelled by you. So this dynamic, are you emotionally available to receive? The last question is, what meaning am I giving this situation about me? If I was more attractive, if I was more successful, if I was skinnier, if I was more muscular, then they would like me. And since I'm not that, that's why they don't like me. That's why they haven't texted me back. That's why they haven't called me. If I was those things that are not me right now, then No one would leave. Then they would have a reason to stay, because I on my own am not enough to stay. All of those different scenarios are forms of self-abandonment. Why? To understand this, you really have to get in and understand the dynamic of jealousy. So often people are going to say, I'm not jealous. I'm not jealous of this person, that person. But again, modern day jealousy definitions is not the root of true jealousy. Understanding jealousy has dramatically changed my life. I used to suffer basically every day for most of the day via comparison, literally being jealous that the person I was with was going to go and find somebody else and leave me, constantly self-rejecting. Probably 90 or more % of the day, I would self-reject. Now, what is jealousy? You want somebody's exclusive attention or affection. Interesting. You're watching a video about somebody who's emotionally unavailable. So clearly you're wanting that connection, and that's good. That's a great thing. So you want somebody's exclusive attention or affection. You're afraid you're not going to get it. You're fearing you're going to be abandoned. You're either suspicious, you're distrusting, you're anxious, or you start to compare, which is envy. If you're doing those things, you're in the energy of jealousy. And why do you care about jealousy? Because what is under jealousy is self-abandonment. So as you start to become aware, the meaning I'm giving myself is that I'm not good enough. I'm starting to feel anxious that they're going to say no to me, that they're going to reject me, and all my attention and energy is over there with them. Again, who's with you? Nobody. You've rejected yourself. You've abandoned yourself to go over there with them, and their opinion is now more important than your own. As you learn to do your duty, your responsibility to yourself, that is the polarity of jealousy. Jealousy is here, boop. Your responsibility to you, to grow in yourself. That could look like meditation. That could look like a workout. That could look like journaling. It could look like so many different things on how you can break the habit of leaving yourself and learn to stay. This last part is really the foundation for how you can start to learn to be emotionally available to yourself and emotionally available to receive. As you start to understand these dynamics in the moment and bring that level of awareness up, you get the opportunity to make new choices, choices that align with that version of you that is emotionally available to yourself and emotionally available to receive. And guess what kind of people that's going to attract, and dynamics that can shift in your life, even if somebody is already in your life right now and you're not getting the dynamic that you're wanting. You're opening up to yourself. Your level of connection with somebody outside of you can only ever be as deep as your connection to yourself. So practice the real golden rule. Start treating yourself the way you want to be treated, not leaving you, being emotionally available to you and able to emotionally receive equal to your true worth. Now, this video helps to see how you can start creating that space. This next video over here is going to help you understand more about the law of assumption and rejection. Check it out. Thank you for watching. I love y'all, and I'll see you on the next one.